What's going on, guys? This is the final part of our game with Alexander. We pretty much have the continent completely ours now, and now we're just focused on conquering really just Norway. That's it. So at this point I don't really know where they are. I wasn't sure if they were on the left or the right, so I kind of sent troops in both directions. But I still need to have a navy, because right now I just have a bunch of land units. And while they are powerful, I don't really want to sail them across the sea without a navy, because there could be barbarians everywhere. You never really know. Right now I'm just giving my Bombard army an extra promotion by using one of my generals. I think I gave it the +1 range, which is going to be really nice. I'm just kind of improving infrastructure.
Bolt actions speak louder than words.
I think I'm checking here to see if I have the policy card that doubles the production for Navy units, which I didn't have it, which kind of sucks a little bit. But I start kind of scouting out to the right using a great general. In retrospect, like, while I was conquering the continent, probably would have been better to just make, like, you know, even a quadrireme or something, and just start scouting the rest of the world. Because the more information you have, the better. I should have just done that. But it looks like I'm sending religious units to the left, and my generals to the right.
While the Colosseum stands, Rome shall stand.
Okay, and we do get the Colosseum built, so that's going to really help with amenities. Because most of our cities are at least -1 amenities, because we haven't really built that many entertainment complexes. We've just been kind of focused on getting gold and training troops and faiths, so that's going to be really good. But when you're going for a heavy domination game like this one was, you kind of have to forego amenities, at least early on, because your whole focus should be early on, just getting high production in your cities, getting yields up, like faith and gold and science, culture, getting units out. Amenities are kind of like a lower priority. And then here what I was trying to do was I was trying to use one of my earlier generals to try to convert some barbarians, because they had a frigate here, and that would just be a free naval unit, which is really good. So I was trying to convert them, but as I kind of found out, as soon as the general that can actually convert barbarians actually becomes adjacent to them, he loses all its movement, which really sucks, because then the barbarians will just capture the general, and then just like that, boom, and then that was a little frustrating. I spent probably 5 minutes trying to get some barbarians converted. So I sent out the general again, and then I tried sending out the other general. Basically, I tried to like bait them out, where they would capture the general that's farther out, and then the one that's closer inland is the one that actually converts them. So I tried sort of baiting them out, but I didn't realize at that point that even when I come adjacent to the other barbarians, I lose all the movement, which kind of sucks. I think that's kind of dumb. I don't know why they did it like that. Like, you pretty much have to have a unit on top of your general to like prevent that, because you can't really send the general out on his own and try to convert barbarians, because they'll just keep capturing it before you can convert them. Kind of annoying. And I keep trying to like improve these or repair these tiles, but I think it's under a drought. I think that's why I can't. So I try this a few times. I eventually get it to work. I actually end up using an apostle, because apostles can also get a promotion where they can actually use a charge to convert adjacent barbarians, and they don't lose their movement when they come next to them. So yeah, which I didn't really know until recently. I thought that was pretty cool. Like, you can actually use religious units to get, you know, basically convert barbarian units, which is honestly pretty helpful, because barbarians usually have, in the late game, pretty decent troops that you can definitely steal and use for yourself. It's actually really quite nice. Here I'm just starting to upgrade my musketmen into linemen, which is a pretty serious upgrade. Linemen, I believe, are 70 combat strength, whereas musketmen are 55, so it's a really nice upgrade. Because musketmen don't really... they don't really cut it anymore, even with Crusade, because, you know, if the enemy is linemen, they're still 15 combat strength ahead of what my current units are. And here I'm just giving basically extra amenities, because your empire only uses one copy for each amenity. So if you have, like, you know, 3 copies of one amenity, you can go ahead and just sell the other 2 amenities to people and get some extra gold. So that's what I did there. XI, and I keep trying it. At this point, I'm kind of just baiting them because I'm getting a little frustrated by it. I'm just baiting the barbarians so I can shoot them down with my bombard. I still really want that frigate, though. I don't really care about the privateer, I think is what it is. I don't really care about that, so I really just want the frigate. And here I notice, I think it's Nubia. So there's actually 2 civs left. There's Nubia and there's Herald. I don't count Lady Six Sky because she's got like 2 cities, and they each have like 3 pop. So I don't really count her, but just 2 left. I basically just spam apostles on the left side and start converting. And in retrospect, I mean, I could have just honestly just kept my units here and just kept converting them, and I could have just won a religious victory super early, but I still kind of wanted to test out my army against a new civ. I do eventually actually win using religion, but I want to test out my strategy a little bit first. And I finally get that frigate using an apostle, so that's actually pretty cool. But with that frigate, I'm definitely much more comfortable escorting these units to the right now, because it's kind of a death sentence if I were to move all these units in the ocean and they have frigates and caravels and stuff. I mean, they're just going to absolutely decimate my units. Oh, we actually got a privateer too. Awesome. And quadrine, yeah, I don't care about that. I don't care about that. And really what I should have done, I really should have seeked out oil. You know, because I'm about to unlock steel. It would have been really nice to actually have those upgrade into artillery. It ended up not mattering because they're already very, very strong, and they still do a ton of damage. So it didn't matter, but having those into artillery would have been just better. Oil is kind of a tricky resource to find because it's usually in desert or like kind of on the edges of the map. Like, I have this entire continent pretty much, and there was no oil on land except for like the very edges of the continent that I haven't settled yet. So I really should have sent, at least made 1 city down there just to basically get me oil.
Completing the...
I do eventually upgrade that frigate into a battleship. I don't know why I don't just do it. Not sure what I'm waiting on.
The best steel doesn't always shine.
So I do finally get a battleship out, and I'm also making, I think, 2 more in other cities. And battleships are a very significant improvement from frigates because they get an additional +1 range, and they have really good defense strength and attack strength. And they also have anti-air defense as well, so they're actually really, really good. They help quite immensely when it comes to taking cities, and they don't even have to be coastal cities. If they can reach city centers from, you know, using their 3 range, potentially it could be really, really good. Here I run into 2 more caravels, so that was a little bit, well, ended up working out. I went ahead and converted them too. That's kind of ridiculous that you can do that with apostles, but man. Just another reason why religion is just downright overpowered.
We have success.
And we have another battleship. We're going to go ahead and send that one. Although I kind of have to go, like, in the opposite direction, unfortunately. I'm kind of cut off. But it's no biggie. They have pretty good movement. And that caravel fleet is what I'm going to use to basically take, you know, the coastal cities. So I'll use the battleships to kind of shell them, and then I'll use the caravel corps to actually take them. Navy is honestly pretty damn good. Like, in the early game, like, you really shouldn't be making Navy units really at all until you hit Renaissance. I mean, you know, because you can't really explore. You have to stay in shallow water. And caravels are just amazing, and frigates are amazing, but, you know, in the classical era, you don't get those. You get galleys and quadriremes, which galleys are kind of a joke. They only have 30 combat strength, so if the enemy has swordsmen, you know, then the city defense is going to probably be around 40 when you factor in, like, the palace guard. So you have, you know, only 30 combat strength going up against a city that has 40 defense strength. It's not going to go well. You can use galleys though to, you know, potentially siege units if you also have land units, so that is kind of an option, but yeah, it's not really worth it though to build a navy in the classical era. It's best to just wait once you hit Renaissance. And quadriremes, they just kind of suck. I mean, they're basically just like archers, basically. Maybe they're a little bit stronger than archers as far as like range strength, but they're pretty much just archers. So, yeah, not that great. And they're made of tin foil. And then I just got the general. I just got the engineer that adds +2 production to factories. So that's actually going to be really nice, and I can use him twice because of Mausoleum of Halicarnassus, so that's really cool. So it's basically an extra +4 production for factories, which is nice.
Your Excellency, I feel it is neighborhoods.
It's the industrial road.
I'm honestly a pretty big fan of, because here what I'm doing right now is I'm actually providing some extra adjacency for my industrial zone that I'll put there. So you get +2 by being adjacent to an aqueduct. You get another +2 being adjacent to a dam. So floodplains are actually really easy to get high adjacency. You can easily get a +4 or a +5 if you have, basically if you have an aqueduct, a dam, and then you place the industrial zone adjacent to both of those and adjacent to the city center, it'll be a +5. So it's really easy to get, you know, high adjacency on floodplains, which normally don't have that much production. So, you know, with a little bit of planning, you can turn a city that wouldn't really have any pop to having, you know, 20 extra production, because when you upgrade that industrial zone, especially when you get the coal factories, they give you a ton of extra production. It's kind of based off of what your adjacency is. So one industrial zone can easily give you, 25 production. So yeah, really important to plan those out with floodplains. Otherwise, it's just going to be a pretty shitty city. It's not really going to be able to build very much. And that's what I'm kind of doing here. Starting to make an aqueduct so I can put the industrial zone there, get some more adjacency. And I think I'm building a neighborhood here. Some of my cities are running out of housing. So I'm just moving these units to start an attack on this city. It only has, what is that? It only has 3 population though, so I don't actually end up keeping it. It actually rebels pretty quickly because there's some really high pop cities to the right of it. But just kind of getting ready to attack, and then here I stumble across a ton of barbarians, which is actually really nice because that gives my battleship some nice experience. And I just start by taking out all the crossbowmen, because those are the only units that can actually attack it.
We shall not cease from exploration.
There's just so many barbarians down there. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this game, like, I think the developers definitely kind of, you know, even though I absolutely adore this game, it's a masterpiece of a game. They really dropped the ball in regards to barbarians. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's just, apparently the console version is a lot worse. That's what a lot of people have said. And I started off playing on console, and it would get to the point where I would try to play on like a mortal or deity, and I would have, you know, 3 barbarian camps that would spawn around my city, and normally you want to try to deflect their scouts like with your own units so they don't, you know, spot your city and go tell all their friends that you're there. But usually one of them gets past and one of them spots it, and then they come back with like 4 barbarian horsemen and sometimes swordsmen, and it's only turned like 20. And it's just like, really? Like, what am I supposed to do against this? You know, like, it's kind of frustrating, honestly. So they definitely, the devs definitely kind of dropped the ball in regards to that. They definitely made barbarians just super juiced up. Honestly, just really annoying. I mean, they should be, you know, pesky to deal with, but not to the point where it's like, oh my gosh, like, I have to build all these units just to stop barbarians when, you know, I should be focusing on other civs in the game instead of barbarians. So you could turn barbarians off, but I do think that you become a much more balanced player when you play with barbarians, because it forces you to have to, you know, build units and play. You learn how to play defense, basically. Because, yeah, if there were no barbarians, I would probably just go, you know, builder first. Builder first, or, you know, maybe go scout first and then just make a builder immediately after that. You don't really have to worry about getting attacked straight away, you know, so. Anyways. You know, it's nice that I, you know, on the one hand, like, I do have a bunch of cities, but it's also kind of a burden because it takes quite a while to go through a turn, because you have to basically, usually there's like 6 cities every turn that have to have a new building built, and it gets to be a little bit annoying. That's one thing about Domination, and maybe it's best to just raise cities, honestly. I mean, I opt not to, because, you know, it's nice to have cities everywhere, but it does become kind of a pain.
7 girls were chased by bears.
But I have to be kind of careful here because, you know, I could very easily just win a religious victory right now. You know, so I have to be a little bit careful. I ended up converting almost all of Harold's cities, and I denied Nubia's.
The rising world of
Okay, I think what I'm doing here is I'm about to declare war on Norway, and I take these apostles and actually have them go around, because if I were to put them, you know, in Harold's territory, they probably would just get plundered, and that would be really bad. So I think at this point, yep, I'm ready to actually go to war.
Ætti þig eldinum eiga stjórna þú hefur kveikt. Nei, hann þér of mikill.
And yeah, because this city only has 2 pop, it's gonna fall due to loyalty pretty quickly. I try sending a governor in there. I try making a monument, try to do whatever I can to, you know, have it not loyalty flip, but they just have so much population on the adjacent cities that I eventually kind of just give up on it and I keep going. Which sometimes you have to do that, you know? Sometimes you can't keep a city straight away and it revolts, and that's fine as long as you continue to take the cities around it, then you will eventually get it back under your control. So that's what I end up just doing, I just kind of move on. God, there's so many barbarians over there, Jesus.
The chief incalculable.
And then what I do here is a little bit risky. I put the battleship in the city center so I could hit that encampment, because I was worried that, you know, if that city got walls, I would also be shot by the encampment. So I figured I might as well just start attacking it now. So that's kind of what I did that. But every turn I would also keep track of where the loyalty is, and as soon as the loyalty got pretty low, I would just pull it out. Otherwise you lose that unit.
Astronomy compelled.
And I realize, oh, only 16 loyalty. Yeah. So that city's gonna fall next turn. I think I end up putting industrial zone there so that when that dam builds from the other city, I'll get that extra +2 adjacency, so giving me +5. I think that's why I did that.
We have complete.
War is hell.
Yeah, and then I just waste a turn just dealing with those linemen. Otherwise they'd be pretty annoying, just kind of attacking me from behind. Yeah, and then at this point I'm kind of just running out of things to build, so I just start building a bunch of wonders. You know, why not? I have high population, high production. Why not? It is something kind of, you know, fun that I like to do is when I have a bunch of cities established and I've gotten the industrial zones down, they have good production, they've got good food, good growth, I'll just start spamming wonders. We should be able to take the city absolutely no problem. There we go. Yeah, that 3 range on bombards or any siege unit once you get that upgrade is just, I've said it multiple times, it's incredible. Absolutely incredible. And yeah, they're still gonna revolt, even with a governor in there. So I think what I try to do here is see if I can get some extra loyalty. So I plug in whatever that card is, +2 loyalty for having a unit in the city center, and then I find another one that gives an extra +2 loyalty for a governor. Hoping that that'll kind of fix my problem. And it doesn't. So I decide, okay. Although that does still buy you some extra time. It does take longer, you know, the more loyalty that you can pull in a city, the longer it's going to take for it to get converted. So I decide, okay, we'll start dealing with this coastal city using my navy. And then our land army will just keep attacking the high pop cities. Just like a constant stream of apostles. And then here I got a oh nice, I got Gustave Eiffel. So he's a really great engineer for building wonders. He gives a lot of production. So I'm trying to scout out like which wonders do I want to build first, because I'm building like 5 wonders at a time right now. 6 at a time, Jesus. And what's nice about Navy units is that they do full damage to walls. Which, I didn't know that for a long time. I kind of just assumed that they didn't do that. So I thought, you know, like, why would I build a Navy? You know, like, they can't even attack walls. But no, they do full damage to walls. Like, ranged units and melee units. So, well, actually, I take that back. Not the melee units, just the ranged units. So you can essentially take cities on the coast with nothing but a strong navy. And it's actually a really smart idea to do that, because, you know, the AI typically won't build a strong navy. And so you can just completely dominate cities, like coastal cities, and there's really nothing that enemy can do about it. Range units have a pretty severe penalty towards naval units. I think it's like -12. So, you know, even if your naval units get shot by range units, it's not going to do that much damage to them as long as they're, you know, in roughly the same era. You can see, like, the range unit did almost nothing to that caravel core, like next to nothing. So, yeah, navies are really, really good. If I had to, like, put on paper, like, you know, as far as domination goes, like, what type of army is superior, like, what's the best way to do domination? I mean, the easiest way is with nukes. You know, if you have nukes, all you have to do is nuke a city and then send, you know, a unit, preferably one with, you know, high combat strength and high movement, so they can go straight to the city center and take it. So tanks are a really good option, but you can easily delete cities just by doing that. The next most viable would be air. Air units in this game, as most people know, are just kind of broken because essentially the only way to stop air or defend against air is to have your own air force. You can't really, even if you have the SAM sites, which are, they're not even the best anti-air in the game. The best anti-air are the missile cruisers. But even if you have those, it's just, they're good at stopping bombers, but they only cover tiles that are adjacent to them, and that's it. So you would have to layer your whole empire with them everywhere, and even then, if the enemy launches nukes, like a missile nuke, which is the hardest to stop, it's not even guaranteed that you'll be able to stop it. Even if you layer your empire completely with the SAM sites and the missile cruisers, so you have every tile covered, which is just, you know, not going to happen, but let's just say theoretically it is like that. Even then, you still can't defend against nukes 100%. It's like a percentage-based thing. I think it's like, if it's a missile nuke, I think you have like around a 50% chance to stop it. So yeah, it's definitely, it's kind of busted. So really the best way to defend against it is to do a preemptive strike, be the first one to attack, because, you know, if you're on the receiving end of someone that's, you know, launching nukes or launching, you know, bombing you with nukes, yeah, you're not going to really be able to defend that very well. Because they don't even have to, like, nuke the city center. Like, they could just nuke tiles that are close to the city center, and as long as it's within the blast radius, it'll still take out the city. So, like, yeah. So defending against them is pretty difficult, and that's why, you know, air is pretty damn powerful, because, you know, it's just to effectively be able to counter it, you basically have to have your own air.
Great ball court is also very impressive.
And then,
I would
you
like
know,
to have seen them play a game.
the
although it
third
sounds
strongest
like the
force would be
enemy's pretty
Navy,
violent.
ironically.
I think it was safer to be a spectator.
And the reason for that is, first of all, you can get nuclear submarines, which is probably definitely the most secretive way to launch a nuke. And it's probably the hardest to counter because, you know, if you dominate the seas, the enemy will have no idea where your actual submarines are, because they have to have units that can actually spot submarines. And if you control the waters, you can just kill their navy, and then they have no idea where your submarines are. So they have absolutely no idea where they're getting shot from. I think missile nukes have a range of, I think it's like 15 tiles. Maybe even, it might be even more than that. I don't remember offhand, but they have a lot of range. And it's just next to impossible to defend against. But Navy is also really powerful because you can easily take coastal cities. And yeah, it's the only real way to stop a Navy is to have your own Navy or to have a very powerful Air Force. But even then, I mean, you know, if you have a bunch of battleships, that can definitely hamper Air Forces as well dealing with them. So ironically, it's actually the land armies that are the least powerful in the game. You would think they might be, you know, one of the most powerful. They're actually the least powerful. Because taking cities by land is definitely, you know, using land armies is actually the hardest. You know, like, first you have to drop the walls, then you have to, you know, you have to kill their units around the city, and then you have to slowly take the city. I mean, it definitely helps in this scenario because I have, you know, really good siege units. You know, so it doesn't take that long for me to drop the walls, but, you know, if I didn't have the siege units, it would be taking a super long time to take a city. I'd have to siege it and then just basically keep attacking it with my units until I take the walls out. It would take a very long time. So which, like, going back on, like, Air Forces, you know, I understand that, you know, air should be very powerful because it's kind of like on its own separate end of the tech tree, and you kind of like forego like oil and like all of the good land units to go straight air, and you also need oil to get air in the first place, so it's gonna take a while to get it. The one thing that I really hate though is how come you can land air units inside of city centers? I just think that is the most retarded thing. You know, they should only have it so that you can land air inside of like airfields. Because then I think it would be actually kind of balanced that way. Because then if somebody had a huge land army, they could just go to that, they could go to that airfield and just pillage it. And all the planes that are there will be dead. You know? Like, but you can't do that. They could just put an air unit in every city, and if you try to, you know, attack them, they could just attack you with, you know, a few bombers every single turn. And there's essentially, you know, you can't really do anything if all you have is a ground army. So that's like the one thing that I would, you know, propose to kind of fix air and make it not so OP. Make it so that you have to put it in an airfield and you can't land them in the city center. But, you know, it is what it is. And maybe make anti-air a lot better, you know? I think the early anti-air should probably not be that good, but if someone's going to take the time to get, you know, the most upgraded anti-air, I feel like it should be able to do its job well. You know, maybe instead of covering, you know, a radius of one tile maybe do like 2 or 3 tiles around it, and maybe make it so that maybe it has like a... Well, it's tricky because should it be able to shoot down 100% of nukes? I mean, historically speaking, like if you look at, you know, modern times today, it's not guaranteed that the United States would be able to shoot down a nuke, because, you know, modern nukes, they actually, well, they're intercontinental, so they leave the atmosphere and then they return, and there's only really 2 opportunities to shoot down a nuke, and that's when it gets launched, and, you know, maybe a minute before it actually detonates, which they usually detonate like a mile or 2 up in the sky, but there's only 2 opportunities to actually, you know, stop it. And it's like, the thing is, the modern nukes, they'll actually split up into like many different parts, and a lot of them will be like decoys, so, you know, you can't just shoot down one nuke and say, oh, like, we're good, we got it, like, because you have to worry about like a dozen different pieces, and one of those pieces is the actual nuclear warhead. So yeah, they're pretty difficult to shoot down, so it shouldn't be like a 100% thing. So I kind of agree on that in this game, because then it would be kind of too easy. Then you could just build an anti-air unit in every city and you'd be basically immune from nukes, which, you know, wouldn't be any fun. So I think nukes are actually kind of balanced. I just don't like the air being able to land in cities. I think that's the stupidest thing. Like, it doesn't even make sense. It's like, if it's a crowded city, how the hell are you gonna land a plane there? Anyway, that was like a huge rant. So we're kind of reaching the end of the game here. I've already taken like 3 or 4 of Norway's cities. I think I take 1 more city. I think I take 2 more cities, and then I basically come to the conclusion that, alright, I'm just going to win by religion, because I don't want to go the trouble of taking all of Nubia's cities, which would take, you know, another 15 turns or so, and I just kind of wanted to end the game. But I wanted to see, like, if my army was still relevant for taking cities, and it certainly is. So that's, you know, that's kind of cool. Because I do plan on trying this sort of strategy on deity and see how it works. I think the hardest part is going to be... I mean, the hardest part, honestly, is the early game. If you can get past the early game and, you know, you understand how to stack bonuses in your favor and you know how to get past the AI, you're good. It's the early game that's the most difficult. That's when you're the weakest.
Industrial heart of Germany practically
I think on deity, I think they start with like 2 settlers, and then they just have massive increases to like production and gold and stuff. So it's pretty nuts.
At Rhodes was set up a colossus of 70 cubits high, representing the sun.
Man, I was just
The
creating
artist
wonders left
expended
and
as
right. Look
much
at that.
bronze in it as seemed likely to create a dearth in the mines.
But I have heard that it's pretty hard to win religion on deity. Some people say it's like next to impossible, but I've heard other people say that they've done it. So I'm kind of curious, like, how that would work, because religion is definitely a big part of my strategy. If I didn't have Crusade on this playthrough, I would not have been able to conquer half the continent, I don't think. You know, like, that extra plus 10 combat strength just made a huge difference. So, you know, I would like to continue to use religion even on deity, so I'll kind of do some experiments and see if that's possible. Wow, that city got dropped. Holy crap. Okay, I'd say my army's still relevant. Jesus Christ. Yeah, those siege units are a killer. I mean, goddamn. I end up just saving that promotion because that unit's going to get attacked. And I want to make sure I have a free heal when I need it. Because at this point, you know, the siege units are doing like 99% of the work. They're dropping the walls and bringing the health down to 0, and then the melee units are just taking them, so, you know. Tries to give me 17 diplomatic favor, like, bruh, I'm losing like 23 a turn. Like, that stuff means nothing to me anymore.
You and I come by road.
It seems like the AI is programmed to attack the weakest unit, it seems. I always thought that they would target, you know, siege units and range units over melee units. Like, I always thought that was the case, but I think because those units are considered armies, and so they have, like, you know, I guess higher defense strength than, you know, the linemen, the city actually is attacking the linemen. It's what it seems like. Which, I mean, I prefer that, to be honest, you know. I prefer them to not attack the siege units.
O ye who tread the narrow way, by Tophet flare to judgment day.
Be gentle when the heathen pray to Buddha at Kamakura.
Oh yay, warrior monks. Yeah, those are totally gonna help me. 40 con. Those things are, I mean, pretty much useless. I mean, they have some cool promotions where they can get, like, I think an extra plus 20 combat strength. So they could potentially be a little scary if they were, like, fully veteranized or fully promoted. I don't know if you can use a general with them though. If you stack a lot of bonuses though, I mean, any unit could be scary. So yeah, they kind of suck. I just got rid of them. Like, wouldn't do any good. Yeah, I think warrior monks, they just arrive too late in the game to be useful. Because at that point, you know, the enemy will have knights already, and it's just like, you know, 50 combat strength versus 40 is just, yeah. Plus knights have the extra movement. So I wouldn't know when you would build warrior monks unless you were just so desperate that you just needed units immediately, maybe to defend a push, but yeah, they kind of suck. I think I might be able to, yeah, I'll take this turn. Yeah, once the walls are gone, it's just like, yeah, rest in peace. Cool. I believe that's the last city I take. I think at this point I have pretty much all of Norway converted. And then I kind of think about it for a little while, like, do I want to keep attacking? You know, because I certainly could, but I kind of wanted the game to end. At this point, I was kind of like getting a little bit, you know, a little bit tired of the game. I just wanted it to end. And on other playthroughs, I've basically just kind of toyed with my, you know, with my opponents. Like, I would just take out all the civs but one, and then I would just start, like, you know, just kind of nuking everything, and just to kind of, and I'd kind of experiment with stuff, because I feel like I have a lot of experience with, like, the early game, but the late game, you know, I'm a lot less experienced. But this game I just wanted to end. Yeah, and then here I'm checking. Okay, so yeah, just one more civ to convert. Yeah, and this is when I decide to go all in, and I just make a bunch of apostles. Like, alright, let's just end this game. So when I was kind of new with religion, I never really made apostles except to, like, evangelize my belief. I would always just make a bunch of missionaries, because they're a lot cheaper, and, you know, they basically accomplish the same thing. They convert cities. But as I've gained more experience with using religion, I'm still kind of new to it. I kind of realized that you know, apostles have some
Another,
pretty amazing
prickly
promotions
angles,
that
yellow.
honestly make them really
A third
good.
was ornamented with
Like
scales
converting
of blue and
adjacent
crimson.
barbarians into
A fourth
your own units.
was in
I got
quarters like a melon.
2 caravels and a frigate and a privateer just by, you know, just by using 1 apostle and 2 charges. I mean, that's just incredible. And then apostles are a lot harder to take out for, you know, from other religious units as well, so there's that. As far as like, I think they're about the same as far as like how much religious, what's the right word for it? I guess like when they use a charge on a city. I think it's 200 for apostles and missionaries. But apostles have the potential to, you know, triple that with translator. Plus there's also another promotion where they basically remove 75% of that city's religion. So in like 1 turn they can basically convert it to your own religion, which is really, really powerful. Because I can't imagine, you know, well, I can't imagine because I've done it, but trying to convert cities that are, you know, 17 pop with only missionaries, it takes a little while. You need to, like, basically surround the city with missionaries, and even then it's going to take a few turns to actually, you know, flip the religion on it. So, yeah, basically apostles are kind of where you want to lean to in the end game. Like, missionaries are fine in like the early and mid game, but you know, once you're making a ton of faith, you really want to start to focus on apostles.
Apart from the sanitation.
They're just better. But I'd say like the last reason why I really like getting a religion is that it kind of covers your own ass in regards to other civs having religions, because if you don't have a religion, there's nothing you can really do to stop another civ from converting you, unless you're just at war with them constantly and you just pillage all of their religious units. But even then, I mean, eventually you're kind of fighting a losing battle, because you know, they will eventually convert you if they're, you know, if they're serious enough. And if you don't have a religion, you have no defense against other people that have religions. So, yeah. Because if you have a religion, then, you know, you kind of have a defense against every victory type. Because, you know, you want to beat someone in science, you know, go to war with them and kill them before they can, you know, win the science victory. Culture victory, how do you defend against that? Generate a lot of culture, and try to get great people by making amphitheaters. And if you have to, if you have a lot of faith, you can make rock bands and basically use rock bands on the civ that's trying to go for the culture victory, because then you essentially take a lot of culture from them, which will slow them down quite a lot. And then also you can go to war with them and try to kill them, you know, but that's kind of a common theme is, you know, if you want to stop a civ from winning, you basically go to war with them and kill them. I still think domination is like the be-all, end-all, you know? It's like, it's a victory type that is the most flexible and, you know, the best for stopping other victory types. You know, because they can't win if they're dead.
We have a basic need to believe in something greater than ourselves. We crave solace in the darkness, a light unto our path. Thanks to you, we found meaning amid the cosmos.
And we got it. We got a victory. It was religion, though. It wasn't even domination, but that's okay. We dominated an entire continent, and we could have dominated the rest of that other continent, but I just kind of wanted the game to be over. But it's kind of cool to like go through the graphs and just kind of see like how in the beginning I was basically at the bottom of the barrel, and then just by getting all those cities I just kind of propelled past everybody. So kind of cool to look at. But anyway, that's going to do it for this video. And I think in the future I'll probably use other civs and maybe even try them out on Deity and see what happens. So I'll see you guys then. Bye bye.